Good morning, and thank you for joining us today to honor the memories of the victims of 9/11 and pay tribute to the crews of United Flight 93, United Flight 175, American Airlines Flight 11, and American Airlines Flight 77. On September 11, 2001, the societal lines that categorize us as human beings vanished. Race, religion, nationality, profession, and status of wealth were all thrown by the wayside. In those moments, and in the wake of that senseless tragedy, we were all simply human beings. And we were unified and repulsed by the events that led to the tragic loss of those on the aircraft and those on the ground. ALPA members and staff struggled through days that were gut-wrenching and heartbreaking. But in a short period of time, we all became motivated and moved to act. The emotional questions of why and how this could happen quickly evolved into our firm resolve: we will prevent this act from happening again. We will, as airline pilots, never again witness a friend, a family member, a fellow crew member leave us too early in this manner. And from that point forward, ALPA pilots and staff led their unflinching efforts to make our skies more safe and secure. To that end, today, many of us carry firearms to work as federal flight deck officers. Our role as the last line of defense on each airplane is critical. It illustrates perfectly how airline pilots are an essential part of the solution for safer skies. ALPA members also continue to work on closing the gaps that still exist in cargo security. We're collaborating with the FAA and the TSA and our managements on strengthening cockpit doors, installing secondary barriers, and including cargo operations into the SIDA in order to protect our aircraft and the pilots and crew on board. Understanding the need for tighter security, ALPA was the founding partner with A4A and what is known today as Known Crew Member, a program that reiterates the need for threat-based security screening that allows crew members who have been vetted and cleared quicker access to the secure area of the airport. Make no mistake, the fury we felt 11 years ago today has not diminished. In fact, it is what fuels our resolve to continue to make positive changes in the industry. Our swift reaction and fierce determination define our profession as the leading advocates for safer skies. And for that, we should be proud. And for that, our friends, family, and fellow crew members whose lives came to a tragic halt that day would be proud. Today, as we have done each year since 2001, we reaffirm our commitment to stand together, stay vigilant, and actively engaged in every effort to secure our skies. As we stand here today in our beautiful Memorial Garden, so appropriately located right here by our building, and as we honor the memories of so many lives, we must ensure future generations continue this tradition. we will never forget. I would now like to introduce Captain Jay Heppner, Chairman of the United Master Executive Council. Jay?
Good morning. 11 years ago today, the world as we knew it changed forever. This catastrophic event challenged everything we thought we knew, not only about aircraft hijacking and national security, but the sense of safety and control we hold sacred as professional airline pilots. In the course of that Tuesday morning, September 11th, 2001, we lost friends, fellow employees, and family members with what was described as heartbreaking swiftness and cruelty. The images of aircraft, our aircraft, used as weapons against us, flying into buildings, the collapse of the World Trade Center, the fire pluming from the Pentagon in the southwestern Pennsylvania field are forever scorched into our memories. Much has changed since the events of that day. Our nation has experienced protracted wars in Iraq and Afghanistan, a devastating financial crisis in 2008, and an economy that had been slow to recovery. Airlines such as United have staggered through bankruptcy and industry consolidation. And of course, there are the psychological effects of anger and emotional toll that day had on each of us. Yet, despite these challenges, it is important for us to remember what hasn't changed, namely our commitment to stand up to those who would do us harm, our conviction to make air transportation as safe and secure as possible, and our continued belief in a free and open society. These characteristics have helped sustain us during this difficult time and remind us of who we are as a nation and what we still need to accomplish. This memorial garden and other tributes like it remind us of the sacrifices that airline pilots, flight attendants, firefighters, police officers, and other rescue workers and first responders to defend our way of life. My fellow United pilots, Vic Saraceni and Mike Horrocks of Flight 175, and Jason Dahl and Leroy Homer of Flight 93 were murdered, victims of an attack that challenged our national character and tested our collective mettle. The deaths of these brave pilots, together with those who were in command of American Airlines Flight 11 and 77, serve as reminders that we cannot afford to be complacent or stagnant in the upkeep of our national security. It is with humility that I am here with you today to represent the United pilots and to acknowledge the sacrifices of our fallen brethren and to reaffirm our collective vow to never forget the following men and women who lost their lives 11 years ago today. United Flight 93, Captain Jason Dahl, First Officer Leroy Homer Jr., Flight Attendants Lorraine Bay, Sandra Bradshaw, Wanda Green, Cece Lyles, and Deborah Walsh. United Flight 175, Captain Victor Saraceni, First Officer Michael Horrocks, Flight Attendants Robert Fangman, Amy Jarrett, Amy King, Catherine LeBroy, Alfred Marchand, Michael Tarot, Alicia Titus. Customer Service Agents Marianne McFarland and Jesus Sanchez. American Flight 11, Captain John Ogonowski, First Officer Thomas McGinnis. Flight Attendants Barbara Aratescui, Jeffrey Coleman, Sarah Lowe, Karen Martin, Catherine Nicosia, Betty Ong, Jean Roger, Diane Snyder, and Madeline Sweeney. American Flight 77, Captain Charles Burlingame, First Officer David Charlebois, Michelle Heidenberger, Jennifer Lewis, Kenneth Lewis, and Renee May. Thank you.
Thank you, Captain Heppner. At this time, I welcome Jerry Wright, manager in ALPA's Engineering and Air Safety Department, who is also a founding member and deacon of the Purcellville, Virginia Church of Christ. Jerry?
Good morning. Another year has flown by since we last gathered here at this special place. 11 years ago today, a great evil fell upon this land. The lives of 4 airline crews and their passengers were snatched away from them and from us by men possessed of the vilest hatred in their hearts toward this country and its people. From the loss of those lives, nearly 3,000 more men, women, and children were also lost that day. Buildings were destroyed, and our economy suffered a mighty blow, which it continues to reel from even now. We come together on this solemn occasion to honor, remember, and reflect on the precious lives of those who perished so needlessly. And in doing so, even after the years have passed, perhaps it's human nature for us to wonder why. Why was it that so many were made to suffer so greatly at the hands of so few? Why did the forces of evil prevail so mightily that day and leave such a wake of destruction in their path? The Bible tells us of one of the ancients, a good, benevolent man named Job, who pondered these same kinds of questions following the sudden, tragic death of his 10 children and the loss of his great wealth and health. From this book, we learn that Job's troubles were not caused by God, nor were they approved of God, but they were known of the omniscient God. Job came to see that despite the evil that had befallen him, God was still in control. And he proved that. He cared greatly for Job by thereafter restoring all that he had lost and more. At this special hour and place, we take solace in remembering that when we grieve, God grieves. When we sigh or moan, God is there to comfort us. And when we recall the loss of family, friends, and colleagues, we are provided assurances of his love toward them and to those of us who carry them in our hearts. Today and always, we petition God to help us through the trials and tribulations of this life, and especially to keep watch over the men and women who fly far above the earth, transporting their precious cargoes. We call upon the unseen hand of providence to safeguard and bless this country, its leaders, its military, and all who place their lives in danger to protect their fellow man. In conclusion, let us hear from the psalmist on this matter, who wrote, I waited patiently for the Lord, and he inclined to me and heard my cry. He also brought me up out of a horrible pit, out of the miry clay, and set my feet upon a rock and established my steps. He has put a new song in my mouth, praise to our God. Many will see it and fear and will trust in the Lord.
This concludes our program today. I thank all of you for joining us to honor our colleagues and all those who have lost their lives 11 years ago today.